Hello, 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 hello. Everybody knows, everybody knows. Yeah, fair fair warning. First of all, folks, this video for some maybe too much of the more internet drama stuff again. So if you're not interested, carry on. But hopefully, you might have noticed from the title I'm going to put on it. I'm hoping this video will at least cover some possible questions in the future. People might have similar questions. So if I do it now, I've been thinking about doing this recently anyway. If I do this now, put it all in one place, then it will be a reference video that I can point people to if they have those kind of questions. So anyway, yeah, it's going back to the last video I uploaded and the comments that have come rolling in on that. It's primarily just a screen capture, one comment, and deal with replying to the repetition, because although I've replied to all these points before, I don't want to be, what's that quote? Arguing with a man who's lost his reason is like giving medicine to the dead. I don't want to just keep repeating myself, because that is just a form of insanity. I've told this guy this stuff repeatedly. But anyway, let me just address the screen capture of the comment. I'll read it out as well, just so it's clear in case it can't be read very easily on the screen. This is from A Meehan. He's got me blocked, so I can't reply directly to the comment, and I didn't get notification of it. I don't know whether that's something to do with just the way YouTube works with the blocking each other and stuff like that, but whatever. I only discovered it when I was replying to other people that were not being helpful. But anyway, yeah. Read this out from A Meehan. Cookie, I only go off the facts. You're ex-forces, you're an ex-bouncer, thug bully, you proclaimed. You could control a situation just through the use of the tone of your voice. Who taught you how to do this? Government. I care not about you, as you show nobody anything. Fact. This is my evidence about you, sir. Your big words and your opinions are what they are, worthless, and attempting disclaimers with platitudes is what it is. I agree with your views on monetization, but you give people nothing. You just talk about yourself. Fact. Okay. I probably will do some face-to-camera stuff as well, but I want to be able to show some pictures, as well as doing this screen capture, show some pictures just to quickly run through a short autobiography to answer these points. Well, to a degree, answer them as best I can, because you can't prove a negative. So in some respects, there's stuff here that is just totally baseless. So therefore, I can't prove that I'm not, because I never was in the first place. It's just a logical maxim. You can't prove a negative. But anyway, yeah. I only go off the facts. Just to point this out, I've said this before to you, Anthony, and I know it's not really registering with you, but whatever. You are misusing the word fact. You keep repeatedly doing it. Typing or adding the word fact at the end of anything you say does not make it a fact. It's a bad habit that you've got. I know you like to deal with the facts, etc., like evidence and stuff like that. That's great, mate, but that doesn't then mean that you can just add the word fact onto anything you say and that makes it reality. That's like me saying my beard is made of spoons. Fact. My beard's not made of spoons, so that, you see what I mean? And I know I'm being facetious, but it's just repeatedly point that out. Again, hopefully, all in this one package, hopefully, so it'll deal with this. But anyway, the autobiography part. Your ex-forces, they'll show you. This is the only picture I've got on this system. There's me in the Navy. That was in the dormitory. And probably just about make out something that was like insignia stuff up on the wall. Dress shoes by the looks of it, a little locker and whatever. People who've been in the forces, if you join the Royal Navy, everyone trains at HMS Raleigh. So anybody else who's been there will, you know what you're looking at. So I don't have my passing out picture on this system. The classic sort of gormless green portrait photo with the toothpaste cap on. But yes, I was joined the Royal Navy after leaving school, almost straight after leaving school, because I had succumbed to that warrior programming that is inherent in the system to delude younger generations into thinking that they are primarily, or that the reason it's a good idea to join the forces is to protect their family and home and nation and all that other kind of stuff. Yeah, I was very much into that when I was that young. So I thought it was a great idea. Some of my family, as there is for a lot of people, especially in the lower classes, the working classes or whatever, there was a bit of a tradition of joining the forces. So I saw an opportunity to follow that tradition. I joined up. My main reason, my primary reason for joining was because I wanted to travel, and the Navy was the best option for travelling at the time. That was back in the mid-80s. But after that, they didn't do it as much. The world tour no longer took place, whereas at the time I joined, they were still doing what they called the world tour, which was where it was almost like a display thing. They'd send a few of the main ships around to all the different major ports around the globe, and they'd show up and have a big pomp and circumstance about the British Navy's in town, folks, go and see the ships and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I joined up to travel, and under that warrior delusion of protecting family and nation and whatever, I was only in the Navy for approximately 5 months. Yeah, only 5 months. I never actually went out to any active zones or anything like that. I was assigned a ship, but during that time period, I was still in the training period, not basic training. Just to point that out, I didn't fail to get in or fail the basic training or whatever. I did all that, and it was after that during the following months, because basic training only lasts 6 weeks. After that, during the following months of really sort of being on the job, because at that point it's on the job training, you're going backwards and forwards to different ships to learn different things about, I was an engineer, so learning different stuff about the engines and whatever. I never actually went out on service anyway. I'm really glad I didn't, because during those months I started to realise that this really is not for me. I made a big mistake here, because I do not want to go and kill other people. I'm really here just for the travelling and the mechanics and stuff like that, because I was really into engines and stuff. So I decided I wanted to transfer in some manner, cause, as well. All of the intake I went in with was being rotated on 2 submarines, because at the time they were desperate for more submariners, and the entire intake for my when I went in, the entire intake at that point was assigned to submarines. And being 6'7", and having one of my cousins who was already assigned to a sub, and hearing what he had to tell me about the average kind of conditions, and then I had the opportunity to visit a diesel class sub and seeing just how cramped it was. The standard bunks, which is obviously, you know, the bunks that everybody has except the higher level officers and the captain or whatever, the standard bunks are 5'6" in length. So I'm 6'7", which means they were over a foot, over 12 inches too short for me to fit onto. So I thought, I'd rather transfer to do something else. So I attempted to transfer to working one of the jobs onshore. So doing things like logistics and supply, stuff like that. But anyway, yeah, I'm rambling, digressing quite a bit. Talking about myself. Oh dear, I must be talking about myself. Passive aggressive. Oh dear. Yeah, they wouldn't let me transfer. I tried to transfer 3 times. All 3 times they were refused. So in the end, I thought, no, I can't stay doing this because it just doesn't feel right to me. So I did what is known as PVR, because the age I was meant I was allowed to buy myself out of the contract. When you join, you sign a 2-year contract to start off with. If you're over a certain age, I think it was if you're over 18, because at the time I was only 17. If you're over 18, you can't buy yourself out. You have to work that first, you know, you're committed to that first 2 years. But if you're under 18, they allow you to buy yourself out, which basically means you give back near enough all the wages that you were paid, which is not a lot really for back then and what you were doing and whatever, but you have to give back near enough all of it, and they cancel your contract. So yes mate, I was in the Navy for approximately 5 months, realised my mistake and decided to buy myself out. You're an ex-bouncer, thug, bully. Right, okay, unfortunately I don't have any pictures of me when I was actively working in some manner of being a bouncer. I did do it for a little bit. It wasn't exactly the main job I've ever done. Most of the work I've ever done has been in factories and warehouses, stuff like that. But I did do it for a little bit after leaving the Navy. But all I can say really is you're making a presumption, you're stereotyping that every bouncer is a thug and a bully. I'm a big guy, and I've learnt a few things about handling myself from various different aspects of my life because of like being in the Navy and whatever. It was an opportunity to earn money, so I did it. Yeah, I never ever got into a fight when I was working, never. The most I ever encountered was a guy who basically just required showing to the door, which was just a bit of physical manhandling. Yeah, there's no fight involved. And if your bouncers, if your door staff or security staff or whatever you call them are doing a good job, then there shouldn't be any fighting. Doing that kind of job, it's not a good idea to have people who are thugs and bullies. I know a lot of them are, mate. You probably had bad experiences with them. I have as well myself. So yeah, I know what you're saying about a lot of them are thugs and bullies. All I can say is I wasn't. I know quite a few other people who worked the job who weren't. And if your door staff, your security staff are good at doing their job and they're doing it well, it should never descend into physical violence or thuggery or bullying people. Yeah. So yeah, I don't have like I said, I don't have any pictures of me actually working the job, but whatever. I'm not sure if this is just a bit of bad grammar, as it were, the way you've structured this, but I'm not sure if that's meant to be linked into the next sentence or whatever. But anyway, you could control a situation just through the tone of your voice. Yes, because the principle was to not end up in physical violence. So if you could learn to calm or to even shout down a situation by using the tone of your voice, or what you say, your rhetoric, your use of language, etc., that's a good thing, right? It's not a bad thing. Yeah. And yeah, over the years, I did learn some of the psychology of the combination of a presence, a physical presence, combined with use of language and tone of voice. And I've learned a hell of a lot more about that since. Who taught you how to do this? Government? No, mate. If ever you'd been in the forces, you'd know that through that, especially in the basic training kind of situation, they don't teach you how to use your voice for doing stuff like this. Unless you're trying to imply that I was taught as some kind of secret agent or something. That's just paranoia, but whatever. Yeah, I've learnt over the years how to use my voice and my use of language, my vocabulary, my rhetoric, to calm situations or whatever. Next bit is just opinion. I care not about you as you show nobody anything. Fact. You put question mark on the end of that, so caveating it, is it or is it not a fact? No, mate, it's just opinion. I can't really answer that for you because you would have to ask anybody else who's looked at my stuff. Have they found anything useful in it? That's a matter of asking them, not me. I would be narcissistic to sit here and say, oh, I saved somebody's life, I did, oh yeah, I healed them, I saved their life. Yeah, narcissistic, egotistic for me to say it in that kind of way. You ask other people. I'm confident I know that I have, because over the years I've had many people say to me, thank you, what you said helped me in some manner. Doesn't mean I know everything, mate. It just means in the same manner as you tell people stuff that's helpful to them, I've done the same. You don't like what I do and how I do it, so you find it a justification, a confirmation bias justification, to just equate what I do to equal nothing. All of this stuff here is just your opinion about me being worthless and what I do being worthless and stuff like that. And it's a logical failure to say that because I put a disclaimer on it, that makes it useless, worthless, nothing, whatever. Yeah. You should understand that because of what you know about law and legalities and having a disclaimer or a caveat or whatever. Yeah. Again, question marks on it, so it makes it a bit ambiguous as to whether it's an accusation or a question or what. You agree with my views on monetisation, but you give people nothing. Again, mate, your opinion, ask the people, not me. You just talk about yourself, fact. Yeah, these are the fact off, sorry. But you just talk about yourself. Yes, I do often talk about myself because I am relating to people my opinions, my perspectives, my viewpoints, so that in that sharing fashion, maybe they can find something of use or value from my point of view, an empathic observation point. Yeah, I know you may be not understanding that or getting what I'm trying to mean, but a lot of other people do. A lot of other people appreciate that kind of thing. I found it helpful, so I know a lot of other people find it helpful. If you don't think it is, that's fine, mate. You carry on doing your stuff, I'll carry on doing my stuff. Yeah. So anyway, I've sort of addressed everything that's in the comment, and I will sort of finish up a sort of short, it's not complete autobiography by any means, you know what it's like, but I don't want to create a hours long video doing that, but I'll just show a few more pictures and talk about some other points that might be relevant in a way, but maybe not, whatever. When I left the Navy, I went I swung back to being a bit more rebel, because I was a little bit rebel in school. Not that much that, because I went and joined the forces. You can't be that much of a rebel if you go and join the forces. But, I was a little bit of a rebel. But when I made that realisation of turning away from the forces and looking for other stuff to do, I became a bit more of a rebel. I got into riding my bikes and working on the engines and rebuilding bikes from scratch, all that kind of stuff. I spent quite a few years doing that kind of stuff. Well, I still do nowadays, but not as much as I used to back then. And I used to hang around with a lot of bikers and bike gangs. I never joined any gang. I'm not a joiner. Another thing I've realised when I left the Navy is joining that kind of organisational group. If anything, it compounded my dislike of those kind of hierarchical structures. So I was often hanging around with them, and I'd go to events, and I went to the Kent Bike Show a few times, stuff like that. I think this picture's actually from the Kent Bike Show, but whatever. Yeah, I sort of just tagged along. I didn't like getting dragged into their shit. So I would just enjoy the riding, doing the bike riding and working on the engines and talking about it and drinking a lot and listening to a lot of music. Yeah, that was, the majority of what I was doing. And then just one silly picture, from back then. I was a bit of a character even back then. Yeah, so if you want to talk about being egotistical and flamboyant and that kind of stuff, yeah, whatever. And in that kind of manner, eventually I got more into the music in terms of actually playing. So I learnt the bass guitar, not because, as a lot of people accuse many bass players of, because it's easy to learn. If it is another instrument. So if you, as an artist, wish to really push that instrument to its limits, there is just as much to learn with that instrument as there is with any other instrument. So just because it's only got 4 strings on the average bass guitar does not mean it is restricted, in some manner. It's another instrument just the same, and I chose it partly for that reason. Also because I'd started to learn or get interested into other more esoteric topics. So I was learning about various topics, the occult, sacred geometry and stuff like that, and frequencies and tones. And that was what fascinated me, was that connection with those deeper resonances that the bass guitar offers. And also within the structure of a band environment, with the standard kind of rock and heavy metal structure was usually 2 guitars, vocalist, bass player, drummer, and that was what I was doing with my mates. That was what I got into doing. And for me, there was that aspect of the bass player acts as the medium, the transition point between the raw, energetic, rhythmic power of the drums and the melodic aspect of the lead guitars and the vocals. So yeah, I was well into that kind of stuff, and I listened to a lot of different bass players. I've been in a few different bands. That was one of the most successful band I was in. We never signed to a label or anything. We just did the pub circuit around Birmingham, played in various different pubs to pub crowds, never massive crowds. I think the most we ever got was about 100 people, and the most I ever earned was a tenner in my pocket and a few pints of beer behind the bar. Yeah. So to me, it wasn't about earning money or getting on a label. It was about enjoying playing the music or whatever. And yeah, I'm really getting into rambling an autobiography, so I should just carry on. A couple of other pictures of me in different bands, just to sort of make the point. This was a band where every other member of the band was female, but they couldn't find a female bassist, so they asked me to help them out by working with them while they, sort of kept the door open, waiting for a female bassist to come along. But to sort of fit in and to have a bit of a laugh with it and whatever, I used to wear an old tatty summer dress that I found in an Oxfam shop, just to sort of take the mickey. And the fact that I had you can't see my boots, but I had big bike boots, motorbike boots on as well, just to make it as silly as possible. And one more, that was another band I was in when I'd sort of progressed onto the 5-string that I've got now, playing at the Flapper and Firkin in Birmingham. The beard was just sort of going through a transition phase then. I think I was in my musketeer phase, but anyway, and just to sort of round it up, it was after about this time, which was like mid-90s, when I started to get more and more disillusioned with the system as is, and I started to gravitate further and further away from it in various ways that I could. But I got married, and spent several years trying to do the system thing, house, car, money, stuff, working towards family life and stuff like that. But as it turned out, it didn't turn out very well, and we ended up splitting up and getting divorced, possibly because of various transitions that I myself was going through. Could have been, it's all part and parcel of all that kind of stuff. But this is a picture of when we went to visit Mexico. That's Palenque. Look into that for yourself. Really interesting place. But that was combined with my visit to Stonehenge, which again I don't have pictures on this particular system, but began a long running process for me, which put me on this path of exploration, where I realised that what worked for me and what seemed helpful from what the feedback I got about it, helpful for other people, was talking about things the way I do and exploring those topics in the kind of way I do, and interacting and exchanging with other people on those kind of viewpoints. So when you express your opinion to me about it all like being meaningless or worthless or whatever, mate, you're just shouting into the wind. So anyway, I hope that just those few pictures of me rambling a bit will fill in some gaps. I know for you, Anthony, for whatever your reasoning, you seem to think I'm some kind of agent or working for the enemy or something like that. I can't, there's nothing I can do to disprove that perception for you, mate, because it's a negative. I cannot prove a negative. So other than that, I don't know what else to say to you. If you think that just being in the forces and doing this kind of work automatically means you are, an evil person doing malicious things, it's very absolutist thinking and stereotyping and whatever. I think I've rambled about that point enough. This is partly for you, but also for any of the viewing public. If you've heard rumours or you see these kind of comments about me, my past, whatever, this is hopefully just a quick potted version, so that I can reference people back to this video if these questions come up again, because it is just a repetition of stuff that's gone on in the past. And a while ago I did say that I would do this video for you, Anthony, and at the time I never got round to it because of various other things going on. So here you go, mate. This is what I meant when I said I'd do a video for you. Not to be attacking you or having a go at you, but just to rebut and point out what's wrong with the questions or the accusations that you're making against me. They're non-existent, meaningless, empty, vacuous. Well, I don't know how else to say it other than that. So, yeah, I think I've hopefully that's put an end point on it, and we can keep moving on, because I did not intend this to be dragging out drama. I'm not a drama queen. That's just a reflection tactic that some of the trolls are trying to use to imply that it's your fault that this stuff is happening. With this video that I'm showing now, my intention was to point out something that somebody else is doing that I think is exploitative and underhanded and in many ways malicious. So, we don't need more of that, we need less of it. It's basically what I was trying to say. If you take that the wrong way, that's up to you. How else? What else can I say? This is not to drag out drama. If anything, I'm trying to end the drama, and that's what I've done with other videos where I've never started this stuff. I've always been responding to accusations or attacks or whatever. You know the way it goes, folks, on the internet, stuff like this. Oh man, this is another 30-minute video. So, talking about rambling and waffling on about myself. Yes, I just have. There you go. Thanks for watching, folks. I didn't do face to camera. Apologies, it's just easier to do it this way to show what I'm rambling about. It's not because I don't want to put my face on camera. You've seen my face on camera in many other different videos and whatever, so yeah. Anyway, leave it at that. Thanks for watching, folks. Don't let the bastards grind you down. We're here to, be moving forward, and hopefully we can get past these kind of stagnation points and distractions and quagmires. There's plenty of other good stuff going on, folks. Yes, take care, and I will rant at you again soon.